Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of the Loco Builder. I'm very sorry that I haven't been able to release any videos for you over the last couple of weeks. I've been absolutely snowed under with work. I haven't even been able to do any modelling, so it's all been a bit disappointing, but we do now have a kit review for you, and this week it is the DJH LNER BR GNR A1 A3 in 4mm scale. In this review we're going to have a look at the instruction manual, we're going to have a look at what's actually included in the box, and we're also going to have a look at the extra things, bits and bobs that you need in order to complete this and make it a fully working locomotive. So first of all, starting with the instructions then, you can see they're quite nicely prepared. Mine's got a colour front page there with a picture of the completed locomotive as well. Inside we start off with a few notes on the history of the class. Always quite useful. You're going to have to do your research to make sure that you get the locomotive you're building correct. Information there on the tenders. Now I've got a GNR tender, but there are other types of tender available from DJH, so just state what you want when you actually order the kit. And here we also have some information about further sources of information that you might need to complete it. Just some information there on the wheels and motors that DJH actually recommend for some of their kits. And then we move on to some notes provided by Tony Wright. Now Tony has actually made many models. He's made probably more of these kits than anybody else, so well worth reading through his notes on how to construct the kit. We also have here a key code just to show you how things are called out in the instructions. So for example there, removed by cutting is a pair of scissors, and then we also have a suggested tools list from DJH as well. Then we move on to the parts list themselves. All of the parts are numbered individually with a brief description of what they actually are, and you can see here they have a key. So for example, E is etched, W is white, WM is white metal, and so on and so forth. Then we move on to the actual narrative of the kit itself. The instructions there are broken down into various drawings which correspond to drawings at the end of the instruction manual. So you've got the text narrative with all the parts called out, and then you have the drawings at the end which show you how everything fits together, and we'll just skip to those now. The drawings I think are very nicely done. They're very clear. Often the case with kit locomotives or kit builds is that you get instructions that have been photocopied many times. To me these ones look freshly printed, and so they're very clear. It's almost like an Airfix style of instruction where you've just got the part numbers called out there and it's showing you where they actually go with these very clear line drawings. I really like that. I think that's going to help with the construction of the locomotive no end. Again, you can see here when building the actual locomotive itself, different parts A and B are called out. A and B here, for example, and that is just the different parts which are all included within the model to make different variants of the A1 or the A3 that you're building. Continuing on, we have some notes on the chassis construction. Again, very nice clear diagrams, just stating there that the motor is not included with this kit. And finally, finishing off with the instructions for the tender. Again, very nicely done, a mixture of white metal and brass etched parts. Now we'll have a look inside the box and see what you actually get when you get this kit. So here's the box as supplied by DJH. It's a nice good quality box in dark blue or black, I'm not quite sure which. And on the end here, we just have a small sticker denoting what the actual locomotive is included inside the box. It's nicely protected by foam inside, and here we have our box of goodies. Let's start with one of the main components of this kit, which is the smoke box, the firebox and the boiler. For me this is really well done. I've not done any clean-up work to this whatsoever. It's just as it's supplied by DJH. You can see there's some marks where it has been taken away from the mould, but otherwise it's a very nice crisp casting. In fact, that's some of the nicest casting I've seen in white metal. Next up we have the basis of the chassis for the locomotive itself. This has a few more problems than the boiler assembly itself. You can see here, these are the moulding pips just on the edge of the frame there, so they're going to need to be cleaned up a little bit. There's also a little bit of a bend to the piece as well. You can just see there it's not quite straight if you look down the end of it there. There's a few little bits of flash, a few little bits and pieces on there that are going to need cleaning up. For example, these bits will need removing along here. But generally speaking, it's not a bad casting at all. And the detail is really quite nice. The beading there on the edge is nicely done. It's all intact. And you know, it's going to take half an hour, 40 minutes, maybe even an hour to clean this up. But it's a nice casting and it's going to look good once it's done. And if I can just show you here like so, pop the boiler onto there like that, just clips in. And you can already get an idea of the size and the sort of weight of this locomotive. And the great thing about this being in white metal is that it has quite a lot of weight already to it. The final large assembly then is this, which is the insert for the tender. Just a little bit of coal moulded in there. You're probably going to want to replace that with your own coal. And this is just going to go inside the tender and fit snugly around the etch parts that we're going to build up. Here are some of the detail parts that are included by DJH. As you can see, you get quite a lot of duplicate pieces, or it seems that way anyway. For example, here you can see two different types of double chimney, various types of dome and single chimney, and then on the other part here, you can see that DJH have included two different types of roofs as well. So this is one of the fantastic advantages really of having a kit-built locomotive, and that is you can, from the bottom up, build your locomotive to your exact specification. By including all of these detail parts, you're getting the flexibility to build something truly unique, and that is for me one of the fantastic things about building a kit locomotive. All of these white metal parts are quite nicely cast. There is a little bit of flash on all of them, but again, it shouldn't take too long to clean up and will go very nicely to detailing your locomotive. There is here one final detail parts included, which has got the backs of the firebox there, the smoke box door, frames there, and a couple of banjo domes, I should say, as well included in the kit. So everything you need there to build pretty much any type of A1 or A3 that was ever in existence. Also included are various lengths of brass wire. We've got some actual electrical wire there, and we've also got clear glazing for the cab. Here are some of the brass detailing parts. We've got a spring there as well. We've got these brass parts there in lost wax, and then we've got parts for the chassis here. So for example, we've got the bearings, we've got the frame spacers, and we've got lots and lots of handrail knobs. They also include little rivets here, and that's their method of doing the valve gear. I use a different method, and when we do the build together, I'll show you how we go about that. Finally, we'll have a look at the etch parts of this kit. We'll actually open these bags up and have a look inside, and as you can see, we've got a mixture of brass and white metal for the construction of this. So I would term it a multimedia kit or a mixed media kit, and it gives you the best of both worlds. You get the crispness of the brass, the straightness of the brass, and then you get the bulk and the mass of the white metal, and also the speed of construction. Well, if we go back to the boiler here, because it's in white metal, it's a one-piece job, so you're building that really quickly, and that's one of the great advantages of a white metal kit, is that you can build the main superstructure very quickly. If this was brass, you'd have to roll it, could cause problems, so with this it's already done, it's ready to go, and it's got that lovely mass to it as well. And of course then the brass gives you that lovely crisp straight edge that we really enjoy with our kit built locomotives. Right, let's now have a look at these etches in closer detail. This for me is the finest part of this particular kit, and this is where we're really going to be able to differentiate between our kit built locomotive and something that you might get that's available and ready to run. First of all then, the frame etches themselves. Now these are substantially etched in thicker brass material than the rest of it. You've got cutout guides here if you're going to fit horn blocks, so they're included with the kit. Well, the horn blocks aren't included, but the cutouts are provided there by DJH for you should you wish to go down that route. And you can see that the detail there with the spring and the etching is all very, very nice indeed. And it's very, very sturdy, very, very solid, and that's the great thing about these chassis, is that you're going to be able to get them nicely aligned, nice and straight, nice and true, no flexing, no bother at all. Next up we have the valve gear, again all etched in nickel silver this time. Everything that you need there is included for making one set of valve gear for the A3. And then here is some of the detail etch that's included in this kit. Very crisply done, all of the details that we need, even got the detailing there for the cylinder drain cocks. Nice to have those included. And then here we have the etchings for the cab. Now this is one of the great things about this kit, is that when this cab is all made, it's all folded up, you get that lovely crispness. There's great detail in there, it's all half etched, everything is beautifully done. You've even got the wood texturing there, which looks fantastic. Everything's half etched. These are the smoke deflectors if you wish to do that. You've got your brakes there, you've got the cylinder guard irons right at the top there. Everything there is so nicely done, so nicely etched, and you get that wonderful crispness. I hope that's coming through on the video there, because that really does differentiate one of these models from a ready-to-run model. So here we have the etchings for the tender. You can see here, this is the tender base plate. Moving along, we have the chassis itself there, so that's all fold-up construction once more. And then we have the detail parts. They've even included things like the miniature spade and everything else there for the firebox, or for the fire I should say, and shoveling the coal. Again, more detail parts for the etched chassis for the tender. All nice fold-up detail. And I really like the way this is all done. I think the way of doing an etched tender is a far better way than having a white metal tender. It just makes for a much crisper, much nicer method of construction. So here are all the parts that you actually get included in the model kit itself. You can see that it lays out to be quite a nice substantial amount of stuff here. These kits aren't cheap, but I do think you get good value for money. I want to just talk about very briefly some of the advantages of kit building. You're probably looking at all this thinking, well, I can get a Hornby A3 and it looks great and it works great, so why would I bother building one of these kit locomotives? Well, I hope I can convince you. First of all, there's three reasons really in my opinion. First of all is that you can build this in basically any configuration you like. So we've got Great Northern options, we've got LNER options, we've got BR options. We can take this locomotive right the way through from when it was introduced, first off, right the way through to the end of steam when this thing was retired. You cannot do that with a ready-to-run locomotive. You're stuck with what it is. So you're able to build this from the ground up as the specific locomotive that you want to build it as. The second great thing about this is really the chassis. And being able to build the chassis yourself and being able to fit your own gearbox, your own motor, is a huge advantage. You can get something far better quality than what would be supplied in a ready-to-run locomotive, and consequently you can make your locomotive smoother, you can make it go faster if you wish, you can make it pull more carriages. You can do that by adding more weight, and that's the great thing with this, is that it's white metal, so it already has quite a lot of inherent weight. When we build this, we'll actually add even more weight to it so it can haul even more coaches, and this should do, I don't know, 15 coaches very, very easily indeed. The final reason, and I think this is really the most important reason, is that when you build a kit-built locomotive, it is entirely your own work and it is going to be unique. Nobody else will have a locomotive that will be identical to yours. Now, if you're just opening boxes of Hornby and putting them on your track, yeah, they look nice. Everyone can have one, but not everyone can have one of these. Not everyone is going to have a unique, hand-painted, hand-finished locomotive to display. And I think there's something very, very satisfying about building your own kit-built locomotives and having them on your layout looking absolutely spot on. So these are all the parts included. We've had a look at everything that's included in the model kit. Now let's look at some of the bits that I've got on top of this in order to finish this off and hopefully make it into a really nice engine. Right, having looked at the kit itself then, let's now move on to some of the extras that we need in order to complete this locomotive. Some of these are essentials, some of them are not essentials. I'll run through the essentials first. Move this out of the way. Move that one out of the way. Right, so the first thing you will definitely need is wheels. Now the reason you need wheels is because they're not included in the kit. The reason they don't include them in the kit is because you can choose whether you want to build this in 00, whether you want to build it in EM, or if you want to do it in B4. So I've got a set of Romford wheels there. Good quality wheels, and they're all insulated, and the reason for that is I want to give myself the option to build this with DCC enabled, and it's better to have a insulated chassis for that, so that's why I've chosen insulated wheels. I'll talk more about chassis construction and whether you want to build live chassis or dead chassis when we actually come to do the build. So there's the wheels. The next thing that we need to include is a motor. I've gone for a Mashima 1428 here. That's going to be absolutely ideal. It's powerful enough. It's also slow revving enough as well that we give this a decent top speed. We're looking at around 90 miles an hour scale speed for this one. Of course we need a gearbox. This is the High Level Kit's gearbox. It's a high flyer gearbox. Chris Gibbon provides excellent information on his website, highlevelkits.co.uk. All of the gearboxes are on there, but a high flyer is absolutely ideal for a Pacific type of locomotive. So there's your essentials. Definitely need a gearbox, you definitely need wheels, and you definitely need a motor. Now from the optional extras. First of all, I've got these. These are replacement buffers. These are sprung buffers from markets, and I really like to fit sprung buffers as opposed to the white metal ones that are included in the kit, just because they look better, they're crisper and they're cleaner. You just can't get this level of crispness in white metal as you can in brass. I like to fit a flywheel wherever possible. That just gives a bit of mass to the motor and means that you get smoother acceleration and smoother deceleration, so that's something that I like to fit. It's a 2mm bore flywheel to fit onto the 2mm bore of the motor shaft. Smokebox door handle there, something again that is much finer in turned brass than it can ever be in white metal. It's also sturdier as well. Got some safety valves here. I like to fit these turned brass vacuum pipes as well from markets. And I've also got an LNER snifter there as well. So these are all sort of hop-up options, if you like, just to make the kit look a bit better. Now we come on to the research part, and this is one of my favourite things, and this is the beautiful drawings by Isinglass. Now, they are absolutely essential in my opinion when you're building a locomotive like this. You've got all the drawings there, everything included within this drawing, just on this long piece of, it's like A4, double A4 I suppose, and you've got all the drawings there, so when you're building your kit you can reference this and it's absolutely invaluable. Isinglass Drawings is where to get one of those from. The link will be in the video below. And finally, you want some sort of a book. Now I go for a Yeddon's Register, Volume 1, Gresley A1 and A3 classes, and in this book you get all sorts of fantastic information. You get loads and loads of pictures there, just having a look through. All the information about the tenders, all of the information about all of the locomotives themselves, and if you can find the picture of the locomotive that you wish to build in this book, then it is a good idea to do so, because it means that you're getting something absolutely spot on. So a Yeddon's Register is a fantastic piece of resource material really, just to help you get your locomotive absolutely spot on. Well, I hope you enjoyed that look at the DJH LNER A1 A3 with the GNR tender. My overall impressions of this kit are that it's a very nice quality item. I'm hopeful that it will go together very well. Obviously we'll see about that when we actually come to build it, but I really like the combination of the brass and the white metal for this loco, and I think it's going to build up into a very nice model indeed. It's going to take quite a while, so we'll do the build in stages. We'll have a look at everything from making the chassis, we'll go up through, we'll build it, we'll paint it, we'll hopefully even detail it, and we'll even have a look at possibly lining it as well. So we'll do the full build on this one, but this is just a kit review, and I think you'll agree that it looks like quite a nice kit. So hopefully you'll join me and we'll build it together and see how we get on. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to have a look at Instagram. It's the Loco Builder. I do more regular updates on there as well. And also, if you like this video, please remember to subscribe. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Enjoy your modelling.